Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you guys my first guns. Okay, um, these guys here, they're called Defenders. All right, these are like Saturday night specials from the late 70s. I have done my best to try and research these guns. Um, so I think these are like nickel-plated guns, and they're a copy of a 1890s model that looks almost identical to this. I think back in the late 70s, I mean, I don't know what they were selling for, but since they're so cheap, I would imagine that they were probably less than $50 new in the box, probably closer to $25. I mean, I don't know, I'm just guessing. Now, I bought these at an antique shop for I think $100 to $150, maybe $125, somewhere around there. I'm gonna tell you guys a story behind that. So this one here is a 31 Rimfire. Okay, and I don't have ammunition for this. I've never been able to find ammunition for this. I do know that it is out there. It's available. However, it's either expensive or it's just not worth the trouble. Okay, so this is purely a decoration, even though it's functional. And also on this one, I can also see that the chambers have stretched out and deformed a little bit. So this is not a gun that I'm entirely sure that it's safe to shoot anyway with the standard 31 rimfire cartridges that it was designed to shoot. Okay. Let's put this down and let's take a look at this one, because this one is shootable. And this one's a 22. Now, I don't think it was a 22 long rifle. It might have been, but it might have been a 22 long, which is another, like, I mean, it's a kind of like a forgotten cartridge. But I've never shot this with 22 long rifle just because it's so old. It's an antique. What I do is I shoot this with 22 shorts, which are smaller, much lower. All right, this one. Give you a cleaner one so you guys can see it. There you go. And I used to be able to find this ammunition pretty easy. Nowadays, I can't find it that easy. So these are 22 shorts, very low power. And since this was probably designed to shoot a 22 long, shooting the 22 short in here, I feel comfortable that this antique can now can contain that pressure. Okay, so this is a single action gun. You gotta pull the hammer back all the way, right? It has a, in order to fire it, it has a spur trigger. It has a cylinder here that what you do is you pull out the center pin here, and then that comes out, and then it's a 7-shot. Okay, that's a 7-shot. And then you put that back in there. Put the pin back in. Oops, trying to lose the pin. So you're gonna put the pin back in there without dropping it this time. I'm putting it backwards. There you go. I had to put what down. Okay, so there it is. And single action. You gotta pull this back every time. Oops, it's a rimfire, so you don't want to do that. Okay. Actually, I just remembered what the issue with this is. I think there's a little spring that pushes the trigger, the spur trigger forward, and I think that spring broke. So you have to kind of push the trigger forward with your finger in order for it to catch. So obviously this is not a very safe gun. I don't shoot it that often, but we're going to shoot it today. Okay, so let's go to the half cock position. Hold it well, and we're going to take 22 shorts. There's a little loading gate over here. All right, you push them into the loading gate. So right now it's in the half cock position around my ears, even though you really don't need it for 22 short. Just maintain good habit, we're going to do it. And from what I recall with this, it shoots really, really high. There's no rear sight on this at all. So you gotta kind of have to imagine where the rear sight is. Basically, I'm gonna be aiming at that big target. I'm gonna go like way to the bottom of the target. That's where I think you have to aim this from what I remember. I haven't shot this in a very long time, probably more than 5 years. Okay. Let's see if we can hit that target over there. And like I said, they gotta, now because like we said, the trigger spring in there is not working really good. I'm gonna keep the gun pointed downrange because as soon as I cock it, the gun could go off. Okay, so I'm basically prepared for that. Because basically, if I pull this back and it slips, it's there's a rimfire. It's a rimfire. There's no like firing pin block or anything, right? If this hammer drops, it's gonna hit the primer. It's gonna ignite. Okay, so stand over here, cock this back all the way. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm pushing forward with my thumb here to make sure that. Let's see if we can hit that target over there. At the very bottom of that. Oh, one hit. Okay, so I have to pretty much aim at the gravel on the ground over there to get a hit on the plate. See, I'm gonna take my ears off because I can't even hear. I barely heard that ding, and I know this is like it's like, it's really late. Nope, don't hit. Actually, I'm gonna put it back on. It's bearable, but I don't like it. Put it back on. No, that's it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I have it on half cock. I'm just going to rotate this all to make sure that each of those primers has been hit. They all have. Okay, good. And now what I'm going to do is we've got to decock this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull out this pin. I'll push that, pull out the pin. Then from what I recall, you go on half cock. Actually, if I had another pin or something, I could have just done that without taking the pin out, and then you just push them out like this. So empty that out. Okay, so let's put this back. Let's load the hammer. Put the pin back in there. All right, and there it is. Okay, and I really don't expect to shoot this for at least another 5 years. It's basically an antique. But it does, it will shoot these 21 shorts. It will probably shoot 22 long rifle as well, but I'm not gonna do that. So here's the thing. This gun and this gun over here, these two guns. Well, actually, it's also this gun, but this gun isn't the original because what I did is, let me tell you guys a story. I was dating my now wife, right? We've been together for 17 years. But back then we had only been together for about a year. She was in the bowling league. She won apparently she won a cruise in the Caribbean, which was leaving from Florida. Okay, and she convinced me to go along with it, and I said, fine, we're gonna go. So we drove from New York down to Florida. And along the way, I knew I was going to see some antique shops because I had kind of done that trip several years earlier, not with the cruise, but just to drive to Florida. I knew there were going to be some antique shops along the way with some really interesting things that I might be interested in. So we're stopping along the antique shops, and lo and behold, I saw these guns. So these were the first two guns I bought. I think I paid something, maybe $100 and $120, or maybe $125 and maybe $150. Something like that for these two guns over here, each of them. I left the store, and then within the half an hour, I ran back into the store to buy a gun like this. Now, this isn't the original one I bought because that one, it had some, it was a little beat up, so I ended up selling that off. I probably should have just held on to it just for, you know, for history's sake. But it was an 1858 revolver like this that I bought. And this is a black powder gun. Basically, you pour the black powder into the individual chambers here. Then you press the balls down with this loading lever, and then you put the caps in the back here, right? That's how this works. I've done videos on the 1858 Remington. You guys can search my channel name in 1858 Remington, and you'll see me shooting this gun and other guns similar like that. But so I bought 3 guns at this antique store. I bought these 2 guns and a gun that was very almost identical to this. What happened was we went on this cruise. When I got back, okay, basically now, remember, I lived in New York City. In New York City, these guns are still illegal. And I'm not going to say on video that I took the guns into New York City because it's quite plausible that I might have left them with somebody else or left them at a property, you know, outside New York City. It's quite plausible, so I'm not going to go into the details of that. However, because I now owned these guns, and one more, because when I was down in Florida, I ended up buying a high point rifle. Okay, it was a 9mm rifle. I ended up buying that. That was basically my first, because I couldn't buy pistols at the time, because the pistols you can only buy in your own state. Fortunately, they had already passed that law. The rifles you could buy in another state, so I was able to purchase the rifle in Florida. Now, one gun store wouldn't sell it to me because I had a New York City driver's license, but another one would, and I said, great, I'll take it, you know. So I bought the rifle, and now I'm basically, eventually I got back home, and I'm not saying I took the guns into New York City. I'll let you guys use your imagination on where they might have gone. But I'm in New York, and I'm like, damn, now I've got guns. I can't be in New York City with guns. I can't bring the guns into New York City, so I gotta get out of the city, right? And these 2 guns, or these 3 guns at the time, 4 guns, these are the reason that I basically had this immediate need to get out of New York City. Okay? And that's the thing that made me buy this property, another property, you know. But that was that was the thing that initiated me needing to get out of New York City fast. Within, I think, like 6 months or something, I had this property here, and basically that was a life-changing thing for me. Okay, these guns, or specifically these 2 guns right here, because these are the originals from that trip. The like I said, the 1858, I ended up selling that because it was a little beat up, and replacing it with a brand new one. And the high point, I mean, after a year, I got rid of that because it was a decent rifle. The magazines on that were crap, and after a while, I started getting like nose up, nose down. So I quickly outgrew that. But that was a life-changing thing for me. So that's why I keep these 2 guns. I keep these guns as a reminder of that. Now, by the way, this is the modern version of that, right? This is the North American Arms. Works exactly the same way. This one's loaded. This takes 2 cylinders. It shoots 22 long rifle, which of course will also shoot 22 short, and it also takes a cylinder to allow it to shoot the 22 Magnum. And this is a gun that I actually carried for a while, right? This little thing over here. When I first started carrying, right, as a city person, I wasn't even used to this idea of carrying guns. So when I got my carry permit out here in Pennsylvania, this is the first gun I was actually carrying on a regular basis because it was small, it was comfortable. I didn't feel like I had a gun. So I carried this gun for a very long time. Another amusing thing for you guys that I want to share with you guys. So I bought these guns, and I really like this little 22 over here because this one while I was in Florida, I was able to buy some 22 shorts. By the way, the reason why I knew that I could shoot this with 22, or rather, the reason why I was aware that I should shoot this with 22 shorts is because the person that sold me the gun said, hey, you could probably shoot that with 22 shorts. Don't recommend you shoot it with the 22 long rifles. I say, oh, great, So we get down to Florida, and because I think I bought this somewhere in that, like, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina area. I don't exactly remember which state. It was one of those states. So we get down to Florida, I buy some 22 shorts, go to the local gun range, and I'm shooting this little thing here, and I'm having a blast with it. Of course, I couldn't hit the targets because there's no sights on this thing, but I'm still having fun with it. And then, you know, that night, me and my now wife, right, back then, my girlfriend, right, and this is like I'm, I'm 50, she's 7 years younger than me. So back then I was like, I was like 33, 34 years old. She was like late 20s, whatever that is. I think, drop dead gorgeous, right? And we're in the hotel, and I'm holding this gun here, which I absolutely love, and I got my girlfriend slash current wife, and I'm loving her, and I was having a hard time deciding, do I want to spend time with my girlfriend now, or do I want to keep holding this gun? So I'm holding the gun here, and at the same time I'm trying to get affectionate with my girlfriend slash wife, right? And at some point she says the funniest thing I'll never forget. She goes like, she's like, okay, stop, get the gun out of my ass. I mean, the gun wasn't actually in her ass, but I was holding her with the gun in my hand, and obviously it was not, she was not feeling very comfortable. Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit of history for you guys. All right, this is the gun. These two guns are what started it all, man. These guns sent my life in a totally different direction, right? Because if it wasn't for these guns, I would probably still be an accountant in New York City, not happy, doing the 9 to 5 thing, so that I could basically take 2 weeks vacation every year. And that's a life that really sucks, okay? The better way to live is the way I live now, which is basically to be on vacation every day, okay? And do a little work here and there. So I want to share that with you guys. A little bit of a bonus for everybody, following this channel, a little bit of my history there. And I think that these two guns definitely, deserve that little attention, for being the life changers that they became. So thanks for watching. If you got any comments, drop it below. If you got any of your own stories, put them in the comment section. I'd love to hear your stories. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. Also find me on Odyssey, which is an uncensored platform. Odyssey spelled ODYSEE.com. And my channel name over there is Pocono Tactical. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all soon.